everyone. This is Dharini, and today is a beautiful sunny day in Seattle. And here with us is Dr. Anu Taranath, and I'm super delighted to have you with us here, Anu.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
As we get into this conversation, Anu, I wanted to read something which you have posted on Facebook. Which in turn inspired me to have this conversation with you.
Oh,
And it would also cover a bit of all the work that you're doing.
Wow.
So let me read it out.
oh, okay.
On August 25th, 2025, you posted this on Facebook. You said, "Hello, see this smiling face? That's me, and I'm inspired today to share a bit about my work with you."
Oh,
do you recollect the
I
post?
do now, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And it says, "As a multi-sector consultant, I have the pleasure of partnering with people across industries as facilitator, educator, and thought partner." And what exactly does that look like? Well, in the past few weeks, I've engaged with the following people. And you have a huge list, and I'm going to read some of those, and it reads something like this. An international group of cosmologists who seek support navigating difficult conversations, a structural engineering firm who are launching a firm-wide equity program with multiple trainings, a group of high school teachers across 3 districts who focus on anti-racist pedagogy, kindness, and warmth, the 3 industry leaders in the travel and tourism sector, getting to know them and their work, 1 journalist writing a story about mindful travel, 2 faculty on how we might design curriculum to hold space for our students' anxieties and teach towards their well-being, and a group of passionate older white women interested in resisting the current administration's campaign of harm and fear and stepping more fully into justice work. You end it with saying, "How is this possible that I get to be in rich and deep conversation with such different people is at once utterly astonishing, quite challenging, and so fantastic. Thank you, universe, and best wishes to all." So, who is Anu? How do you get to do all the things that's mentioned here? And how did you arrive at this?
I love and I'm just so delighted that something that I put out resonated with you and forms one of the invitations to this conversation. That's pretty spectacular. As we've been talking, we never know how what we offer is received, right? And what is on offer in my life these days is something that I could have never, ever imagined earlier in my life. I never thought as a younger person that what I do now is what I'm building toward. I thought that I would be a computer scientist because that's what my dad told me to study. Because in the late 80s, when I was applying for colleges, he said, people who look like us in this country, they either own motels and gas stations, or they're doctor, lawyer, engineer, not lawyer much in our circle, there were some doctors and some engineers, and this new thing called computers, computer science things. He said, I think you should do that. And I said, yes, okay, fine. Because in terms of class and upward mobility, having that kind of a job, I knew at that stage looked very different than having a gas station. And I was steered toward this direction. So if you had asked me at 18 or 19, would your future self be engaging with this, with these kinds of people doing this kind of work? I would have said, absolutely no. I don't even know how you came up with that idea. And perhaps the thing that we are to do finds us in different ways. I'm not sure that I pursued what I do now. It's more a series of happenstance, serendipities, and maybe internal resonance that has brought me here. I said yes to some things, I said no to other things, and I'm now sitting on your sofa having this conversation. I'm more intentional now in these parts of my life than I was in the earlier stages, because now I maybe have seen a little bit more. I have a better sense of what my gifts are and where I might offer them. As a younger person, I did not know that I had gifts, frankly. I had very little self-esteem. I had an outrageous amount of shame and fraudulenceness, whatever that word is, and could not imagine that I have gifts that could work with others at all.
You spoke of internal resonance. Could you unpack that? What does that look like?
These days in my life, it looks like being more aware of what is coming up for me, having the space, support, and desire to pause and notice how my body's feeling in different moments. Notice how much noise is in my head, or actually how quiet and peaceful it feels. Doing that deeper dive. Like I felt like so much of my life I was just living on that top part of that iceberg. But doing a deeper dive, as I say to my students, let's go where the fishies are. Let's not just be up there, hi, how are you? I felt like I was hi, how are you-ing for a long time. But doing a bit of a deeper dive where the fishies are has allowed me to pay more attention to what arises. I didn't know that I could pause and use the information in our bodies to help guide us. And I'm more comfortable doing that now. I wouldn't say all the time, but more and more I am understanding and wanting to work with and in conjunction with other ways of knowing and being, and not just what the mind is chattering about. I thought that was my most reliable source of information for much of my life. But I now know that sometimes what this is chattering about is not so helpful and not so useful. And it's really good to dial down the noise there and to just pay attention. What else is, where do I feel tension? Where do I feel softness? What am I naturally drawn to? All of that, it's like another language that you learn.
So the younger Anu, who took up computer science with very different motivations and thinking it's going to shape your life and career in a particular way, at what point did that Anu realize that her thinking and staying up here and not going deeper down was not working? Was there a moment that started reshaping your trajectory?
There have been several. One is at the end of my first year of college, I let a boy touch my body so he would do my computer science homework. And thought, I don't think this is good. This doesn't... if this is what I'm doing to do my homework, I'm not, first of all, getting pleasure from the actual activity. It's more a barter system. And I'm not sure that this is actually what I want to be doing. That was a big moment for me. Because I didn't want to do more of that. Right? So that moment felt like a big wake-up call. I wrote a short essay in one of my English classes, also that first year, about how my dad would call in the morning. And sometimes, that was my first year in college, I lived in a dorm, we slept at odd hours and woke up at odd hours. And how sometimes that irritated me, that he would call me at 7:30 or 8 a.m. and wake me and my roommate up. But I also juxtaposed that in the essay with the fact that one of my dear high school friends had lost her father when we were both in 11th grade. And I ended the essay with, I have a dad to call me and irritate me at 7:30 in the morning because I slept at 2. She doesn't. And I think in my clumsy 18, 19-year-old way, I was learning to take stock of what is. And maybe the combination of those two, that one moment of, wait, am I doing what I actually want to be doing? And what actually do I have in front of me? And I had sent that essay to my dad. He was very moved by it. I was moved by his emotions also, because this was also an important moment, I think, intellectually for me, that computer science is not what I want to be doing if I'm bartering my body in this way. And if my dad, who's the one that suggested that I do that, appreciates my writing or appreciates my sentiments in this seemingly other capacity. So the combination of those two things happening at the end of my first year of college gave me the courage to start to say to my dad, I don't want to do computer science. Yeah. So the lack of role models, maybe my lack of imagination, I couldn't even imagine what, like a healthy adult life would mean. Besides the usual narratives of you get married and you have kids and you have a job, like besides that kind of very generic framework, I had no specificity and texture, especially when I started to say, this major that I'm in, these things that I'm studying do not bring me joy. So those two moments were kind of small, but also in this story, big moments that kind of thwarted me from this path to something very different. Yeah.
And did you finish your computer engineering?
Nope. I moved around and then shifted to political science, thinking that has the word science in it, and so I would cover my bases. I was curious in why the world is the way it is, and thought that poli-sci would be the place that would help me learn more about it, and it wasn't, or at least the way political science was taught. This is in the early, late 80s, early 90s. I think the field has shifted dramatically since then. And then I went to psychology because I thought maybe that's the way that I understand humans better. In my 4th year of college, my college was 5 years, or I took 5 years for my undergraduate. In my 4th year, I was in India for a year and a half, where I studied history and sociology and literature. I traveled a lot. I got very sick and was in hospital for a long time. And lots of me, I right here, was unzipped that year, and I also got stitched back together a little bit differently. So that's another huge moment in my trajectory that kind of shifted the path that I was on. Not even consciously, right? Not even consciously. Psychology became one of the majors.
Mm.
My other major was gender studies.
Mm.
Actually, I was the first gender studies major in my college.
I see.
They were just getting the major off the ground,
Mm-hmm.
but I had taken many of the classes.
Mm-hmm.
So I petitioned to the deans that I wanted that on my degree also.
Mm.
And my minor,
Mm.
when I graduated undergraduate, the minor was in what was then called Third World Studies.
Mm-hmm.
We might now say post-colonial studies or global studies.
Mm.
Well, when you go through a PhD program,
Mm.
you are socialized to have an academic job
Mm.
as the way to show and perform
Mm.
your prowess.
Mm.
And at that point,
Mm.
everything that I had been doing, all this other small stuff, was just small stuff.
Mm.
I was geared toward and being groomed for
Mm.
a tenure track academic job.
Mm.
Da-da! And anything but that
Mm.
was a fall from grace.
Mm.
Useless.
Mm.
You can't hack it. You didn't get it. And I had bought into that.
Mm.
I had a lot of my ego wrapped up in that.
Mm.
And when I didn't get an academic job, tenure track, I thought that I had let down my advisors and that they would then regret putting all that effort into me.
Mm.
Like suddenly all these old, not so old fears and insecurities had space to prowl around in my mind.
Mm.
I had had a roommate, an undergraduate, who also applied to the same graduate school that I did. She was a white woman, and she didn't get into UC San Diego PhD program. I did, and so she went around and told everybody I got in only because of affirmative action. So this was in 1993, 93, 94, when lots of conversation about affirmative action was taking place. And the shame I felt and the anger I felt, but the insecurity that it exposed in me, all of that never went away in grad school. It was kind of just there underneath the surface. But then at the end of grad school, when I didn't get the job that it seemed like I was supposed to be getting, all of that came flooding back. Dabak, lots of it, flooded. And it took me some time to unravel all that.
What were you thinking when that happened?
I thought, how can I not? First of all, I thought, apparently this is the kind of job I'm supposed to get. But I felt somewhat ambivalent around academia too, which you're not supposed to say as an academic. You're supposed to say, this is exactly what I want to be doing. And I thought, after all of this fighting with my family, after all of this changing trajectory many times, can I say that I'm a little ambivalent about academia? Is there anything I want to do? Is there anything I like? Some of that was quite loud.
And the programs where you were taking students to travel to different countries and host dialogues and conversations there. How did that come about, and what were the conversations in these settings?
As a undergraduate, I shared that I was in India for a year and some as a study abroad student. And then when I was a faculty member, once I said no to that position, and then my real professional life began. I received a generic email that many faculty received saying, interested in study abroad, come stop by our office. And I literally went and knocked on my colleague's door and said, I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
What does it mean to lead a
Yeah.
program like this?
Yeah.
I've never done anything like that. I participated
Mm-hmm.
when I was younger, but I'm unsure what that means now. He said, well, come, sit.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how that started. And so my first program that I started was the one to India, and that was in 2003. And since then have led that many times, and many other programs in different parts of our world.
And what were these topics of facilitation?
Racial equity, historical harm, what does it mean to be a office full of different identities, some of which have lots of privileges and unaware privileges, and others which feel very tender and hurt because of the privileges that they feel like they've been denied historically or in their current life. What do we do with conflicts that might emerge from that? How do we navigate ourselves when conflict has already happened? What does a leader do? Not just with conflict, but what does it mean to lead in this complicated time? These were some of the conversations I was having.
Of all the conversations that you facilitate, I know, and which ranges from gender to racial equities to dialogues on being humanness, that you would call it.
Yes.
What are some of the most challenging aspects of these conversations that you encounter?
I'll say two things come up. Earlier on, I did not know how to depersonalize what was taking place in these moments of tension, rawness, so much energy that didn't quite know where to go and how to be channeled. And being a teacher, facilitator, for me, is about holding space. Or as our friend Shahana says, holding space like this, like creating a container and being able to navigate the pressures that are taking place there and holding it firm and steady and open enough, but not rigid, open enough for whatever is playing out to be able to land softly, sometimes not softly, and to shepherd it in some way. Now, it took me some time to understand that if I put my personality and my hurt and my own insecurity and my own woundedness and my own stuff in that mix, I'm thinking about that much more than I'm able to think about the dynamics that are playing out. It's almost like I have to silence myself to be able to really listen and tune into what is happening in the room. And it's not, it took me some time to understand that it's not about pretending that I don't exist or saying, no, it's not me, like somehow like trying to be humble, as they say. It's not about any of that stuff. But it's more about working through and with my own hurt and tenderness. So then I'm not activated each and every time some participant says something clumsy, or each and every time somebody has an experience that felt like what happened to me in third grade, or each and every time A, B, or C happens, I'm not feeling re-traumatized and triggered Because when that happens, I don't know how to keep the container held. The container collapses onto me. So that felt like a very critical skill to learn how to navigate, and it was hard. That's one. And the second very challenging thing that I've navigated as a facilitator what do you do with hurt? How do we hold hurt in the most gentle of ways, when hurt sometimes lashes out, when hurt is so filled with anger and wants to burn things down? How to not gaslight somebody and say, no, what you experience isn't real. How to do the opposite of that and say, oof, my God, that's a lot. And what do we want to do with that here? That is a very delicate thing that has sometimes not gone very well in my facilitations, and sometimes has gone better in facilitations. The more I've been able to really sit with that dynamic. I can't be scared of the hurt. If I'm holding space for many people and creating a container, I have to be okay with the hurt that might pour out of people's mouths or energies. I have to be okay with that. Doesn't mean I'm glad that something terrible happened. Doesn't mean I don't feel sad. But I have to hold space for it and help folks know what to do with that. The person that has shared, the other people that feel, yeah, me too, and the other people who have no idea what the hell they're even talking about, because their lives have looked really different. What do you do with all those dynamics in 2 hours? Oh, that has felt very challenging and so life affirming. Challenging and life affirming. My God.
What does a conclusion to such a session look like?
It's non-conclusive. Right?
So is it the fact that you can even hold such a dialogue and have people come and share their experiences is the conclusion, or is it a transformative, is there something that you say or do that can transform that for them? Or how do you know a session is like this is successful?
Yeah, it's a beautiful question. Well, it also depends how we set things up. Endings are never just endings. Endings are also dependent on how space is set up. And so if I have 2-3 hours with a group, I've learned over the years that it's really important to not just get into the thing that we're supposed to talk about, but to create a ramp on and then a ramp off. Because some of the things we talk about are so difficult and charged that folks need a little time to get there, and they need a little time to come down. So being able to share with people and to ask participants, we have this extraordinary space of 2.5 hours together. What won't we be able to do? Let's be clear. What won't we be able to do? that's a standard question for me these days.
Mm-hmm.
And it might sound a little odd because most conversations just begin with the agenda of what you're supposed to be doing and you hop into it. But to say, though it might feel odd to be asked this question, what won't we be able to do today? No matter how focused we are, no matter how much you've been wanting or not wanting this conversation, tell me what we won't be able to finish by 3 p.m. And the answers that come out are exactly what helps create the container. It's one thing for me to say, we will be inconclusive at the end. It's something very different for participants themselves to say, we won't have resolution on this thing that happened. Or we won't be settled with how unequal history has been and how some of those dynamics are playing out in our organization. We won't finish what 350 years of history, our 2 hours can't process all of that. And it just gives us some space. And I think it helps respect the space even better. By being able to agree on what we can't do, we ironically recommit to what is possible in that time. So I towards the end, I draw on this part and I bring some of that back to the end to say, this last hour was pretty intense. You name some of what's been happening. We might have all kinds of big feelings here in the room. Let's name some of those big feelings that you imagine some of your colleagues are feeling. I'm not asking what you're feeling. What are some of your colleagues feeling? Which I've learned is a really good way to help us get a little bit out of our own mind and to stretch us to say, I'm sure some of my colleagues might be feeling this, this, and this, right? So we then offer some grace to all the big feelings that might be still present. I talk with people about how feelings are never just feelings. They land in our bodies in different ways. There's a somatic response we have to feelings. Sometimes we feel it on our skin. Sometimes we can feel it in our cells. We can feel it in our knees. What does it mean to be grateful for even hard feelings? We talk about how in professional spaces, often there's very little room for complicated feelings, and how a space like this is very rare. And we might need a little bit of time after we finish. So perhaps make yourself a cup of tea, take a little bit of a walk, 10 minutes. Don't just switch from this and like get back into your emails. Take a moment. I often say, let's take out our books again, our notebooks. What's one thing that's staying with you? What's one thing that feels really alive for you? What curiosity is coming up for you? What conversation is necessary after today to take this to the next level? So these kinds of questions help us get ready to feel, but also helps us kind of come down a little bit. So that beginning and ending framing is about that's kind of the weave of the container.
And are you able to unplug from these raw conversations? And what is it that you do for your own well-being? And when I mean well-being, I'm talking about both in terms of physical well-being and also your mental well-being, because these are raw conversations. Which you can absorb and it can go on internally, that conversation of whether you facilitated it well, did it land, or if you've seen some emotions come out which were unexpected. How do you kind of unplug from it for your own self?
Yeah, super questions that I've been wrestling with throughout this period. Honestly, it was very difficult for me to unplug in the earlier stages of my career. I felt deeply. I carried with me and felt on my own skin and in my own cells so much of what was playing out. That's also unsustainable. And I hadn't had too much conversation in my life up till then about how do we care deeply and also not carry what is not ours. What's that fine line? Because sometimes in the social justice circles that I'm in, if you don't feel everything so deeply and show and sometimes perform your sadness or outrage, you are seen as complicit. You are seen as not caring. You're seen as having the privileges to not have to care. There's all these ways that we have judged somebody's appropriate anger or response. And I certainly was caught up in that for some time. But the more that I started doing this, and the different groups that that I had opportunities to work with, it became clear to me on an intuitive level that that me tangled up in what I was hearing is a bit narcissistic and doesn't actually further the conversation. Now, I'm not saying that it's good for us to check out and to act like, oh, whatever's happening has nothing to do with me. I'm different. I'm above this. That's not what I'm suggesting. How to remain deeply engaged, deeply open, deeply feeling to what is playing out. To have done some of that inner work so my stuff isn't always glomming onto everything. My triggers aren't playing out all the time. So to create that resonance between me and the people I can work with, to help them kind of come into it, to help them exit. And then as I'm walking away, to not carry all of that on me and have me collapse in the elevator. That's not justice. That doesn't further my goals of justice, which for me are creating more opportunity and more dignity and more senses of belonging for more of us. My work is not to carry what is not mine. My work is to shepherd folks with a little bit more ease. That's it. I have low expectations for my work. I bring a lot of heart to my work, but I also have learned to lower expectations. I think somewhere in the beginning of my career I thought, oh, 1.5 hours? Oh yeah, that's plenty of time for us to fix X or Y. And I mean, come on. That's I was gratefully taken out with that notion. There's no way. It doesn't mean that we don't do good work or that I'm somehow lackadaisical and I don't care. No. It's actually inverse. The more the expectations have simmered down and the more clear that I've become about all we are doing today is we're learning how to notice and appreciate being human and how complicated that is for different people. Oof, that's it, and that is huge. That in and of itself is huge, and we're just dipping our toes into that. And that's good work. That is very good work. The more I've been able to confidently share that, instill confidence in participants, that seemingly small thing is actually a big thing, to welcome their vulnerability and their openness to that, the work has multiplied. The impact of the work has multiplied. And we actually, it's like that phrase, hurry slowly, right? That when you have more presence, you actually can get a lot more done. And it's not just about productivity, it's about inviting more people in. And so, though we went slow, though we didn't do all these big things that I said we're going to do something seemingly small, but the smallness felt so full. We so fully explored that smallness that people feel that.
On that note, I just want us to take a pause and resume this conversation. And when we come back, I want to tap more into your inner work, because a lot of the things that you mentioned about facilitating these conversations, you also alluded to presence. You spoke about the pauses. You spoke about not taking things personal. And these are huge giveaways of the amount of inner work that you've done. And I would love to hear more about them, and also come back to speaking about your book and how the idea of writing this book came about, and more about what next.